Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron. Legends of Iron is brought to you by Musclemeds. Musclemeds is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.
Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am John Anderson. With me always my partners in crime, Nick Best, and unfortunately Akeem Williams cannot be here today, but we're going to be just fine. We have a big show for you today. When I say big, I'm talking big. We got a big man on the show who's got the biggest bench press on the planet. And when you hear that, there's only one name that comes to mind. Julius Maddox, welcome to the show, my brother. How you doing today?
What's up? Can't call it, man. Just taking it easy. You know, I got kind of a late start this morning. My dog took off and wouldn't come back. So my big 440-pound self was out chasing my dog today.
That must have been quite a sight for the neighbors, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we live out in the country, so my neighbors, good thing my neighbors that do live beside me didn't see me, but just had me tore out the frame this morning.
Right on, brother. Well, we're excited to have you on the show. I mean, man, you're the man when it comes to bench press. Nobody's got it better. But one of the things I think that our listeners love to hear is kind of go back to the start. You had some things happen in your life that really kind of turned you turned the directions, meaning, without some of those things that happened to you, you wouldn't be where you are. Why don't you go back and kind of share that story with us? It's really, really
Absolutely.
inspiring.
So, growing up, it was me, my brother, my mom, my dad. My dad was addicted to alcohol and crack cocaine. That was his thing. He loved to party. And, my mom provided for the family. She was the backbone of the family, So, being raised up in dysfunction, and it's kind of like a taboo thing where you don't really talk about it. You just live it. You don't know anything else outside of that, that becomes the norm. So when that becomes a norm and you're I was raised by the streets because my mom worked all the time and my dad, sometimes he wouldn't come home for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Wow.
This was in my younger years, elementary years, the middle school years, and some parts of my high school years. But, he lived life on the edge. And so with my parents out of the equation, it left me to be raised basically by the streets. So when you're a part of the streets, anything goes. And, even through grade school and high school, I was a phenomenal athlete. I started varsity all 4 years in high school, basketball, believe it or not. I was
really?
6'1", crazy, 6'1", 300-pound basketball player. I played center, and I was that basketball player that could get a rebound and take the basketball from one end of the court to the other, and just a freak athlete. Play a little bit of football, and just because of pride and arrogance got in the way of me reaching my full potential. Ended up walking off the football field my senior year. Had the 3 Division I schools that was interested in me coming to their school. And, I just chose other things. I chose to party, the same lifestyle as my dad. You can't help it. It's part of who you are when you see it your whole life. A lot of times, most people just kind of go down that same path. And that's where I was headed. So from the age of 18 to 25, heavily drug use, partying, that was just my thing. Living that lifestyle, egotistical, just thinking that I was the baddest guy to walk the streets of little old Owensboro, Kentucky. And you know, it
So
didn't turn out.
during that time, you said 18 to 25. I mean, this is a pretty good period of time where you were literally just living the life of being on the streets. That's all it was, huh?
Oh, I mean, like, so you're talking, you know, trafficking, and I'm very open about my lifestyle and what I did. And I paid my debt back to society when I eventually got locked up. But you know, just interstate trafficking, you know, heavily, I mean, every drug you can name of, just the whole lifestyle, robbing people, you know, packing pistols. And I want to be very clear, though I talk about those things, and my mom, morally, she taught me well. But because of my friends and the influences that I had were more grave than the influence that I had at home, because I was around those people all the time, I chose to do those things. And, you know, it's like, it's crazy because once you engage in those activities, it continues to spiral out of control, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the game. And I remember one time I had a party at my house. Check this out. I'm at a bar, a local bar, a pretty big bar, pretty decent sized bar, you know, 200 to 300 people there at any given time on the weekend. And I was so messed up. I had a bright idea to get on the microphone and let everybody know I had a party at my house. I was having a party at my house after the bar. And I ended up, before I got home, I think I stopped at the liquor store or something like that, did a few other things. And by the time I got home, my house, it literally looked like there was 1,000 people at my house. And that's what I lived for. But I say that because at one point I had a party and I had a moment of clarity. And, you know, I had, you know, girls there that I was dating. My friends were there. I had more money than I've ever had in my life. I had the cars, everything that you think that would fill that void in your heart, that would make a person happy, I had. And I remember having a moment of clarity, and I was just thinking, like, is this all that life has to offer? Like, I was literally empty inside.
Yeah.
And you know, made everybody else think that I was, you know, the guy living the lifestyle, but really I was literally miserable. And 2015, I ended up getting busted for trafficking drugs through the U.S. Postal Services. I was running drugs back and forth from California to Kentucky, and they intercepted one of my packages and showed up at the place. And I share that because that was my why in the road, the split right there.
Yeah.
And I could continue living that lifestyle and, you know, going to prison and do my time and get out and live the same lifestyle that I see so many other people live. And I ended up deciding to change my life. The last time I got locked up, that was October 25th, 2012.
So I know that you have a family.
The pivotal moment began, the journey started.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to us about where your family kind of came into this timeline, because you got a beautiful family.
So 2011, my wife now, at the time she was my girlfriend, found out she was pregnant. And like I said, my mom always taught me to do well. And also too, is as a kid, I remember thinking that whenever I have a kid one day, I'm going to be the dad I'm supposed to be, you know? And I tried that. I tried. I got out of the streets. I cleaned up. I got a job working construction, worked that job for a little while, switched to another job, worked that job for a little while, then ended up working a job building a hospital. And the repeated history is that when things get tough for Julius, I run. I'm a runner. And that's what I did, you know? So when things got tough at work, it was just too much, overwhelming. I ended up going back to the streets and doing the same old thing again. And at that time, my daughter had just been born. And that was around, she was born October 25th, 2011. And so that from from the time she was born until maybe 6 months later, I tried to do the right thing, and it just didn't work out for me. And, you know, at the time she had coming into our relationship, she already had a daughter. Aubrey was, I think, 4 at the time. So, never had responsibility. And again, those behaviors of whenever things got tough, I ran, never accepting responsibility. It just all came to a head when I got busted the following summer.
So basically, you had the tail end of this whole thing. You were actually had kind of your family kind of come through it with you, so you had even more motivation to get on the right track. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So in the beginning, so when my daughter, from the time she was basically 4 months old until I ended up getting busted, she she was in the mix, and I never thought that I'd be that dad, but I was that dad where I had drugs in the house and had pistols in the house and had people running in and out and those types of things. So the chances of my daughter growing up in that mess or living the same lifestyle as me was 90+%.
Yeah.
So the biggest, so that's kind of the T, but like what pushed me to go the direction of just the right direction was October 25th, 2012 was my daughter's first birthday. And I told my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, look, you don't need to bring Mila up here to see me. I just don't want to see her. I don't want her to see me behind these walls. And she brought her anyway. And again, this is her first birthday. And we're in this visitation room, and she's sitting across from me. There's a 2-inch thick piece of glass that separates the actual visitation, the actual platform. And my daughter's standing up on this platform across from me, and she's like taking steps, walking back and forth, and I was the reason why I didn't want her to come see me is because I was afraid that she wouldn't even recognize who I was. And
yeah.
It was like she turned to me and stuck her hand on the glass, and it was like she spoke to me. I know it sounds weird. It was like
I
what
hear
I heard
that
in my
loud
head
and
was
clear,
like, "Daddy,
brother.
why can't I touch you?" You know what I mean? It was like, "Why can't I touch you, Daddy?" And that was the first time that that I felt the full weight of my actions. I realized that it didn't only affect me, but it was going to affect everybody. So that's when things I started to like look at life in a different manner, and I said I have to change. And of course my journey I'm really big. Of course I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed to share about my faith, to each his own. But for me, the way I got out of that ditch that I was in or pit that I was in was my faith in God, and that's what carried me through to this point to where I'm at today.
Yeah, well, that's a really amazing story, brother. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting there kind of listening to you and trying to feel what it's like to have, because I got daughters too. I have 3 daughters, so I hear you loud and clear, brother. I can just imagine having her put her hand on the glass, just not understanding why she couldn't touch your hand, and just something that such one small moment was so monumentous in changing who you were. That's an amazing story, brother.
It literally broke me down. It broke me down to the core. They removed me from the visitation room because, I'm weeping like a baby. It just hit me so hard, and they removed me from the visitation room because I was being a distraction to everybody else.
Wow.
And it was just, I just realized like how like I messed up, and I've never been separated at that point in time. I've just never been separated from my kid ever since she was born. And when it was just something that it was like the paradigm, it just shifted in me. That I was like, I don't care what I got to do. If I gotta do this time and get out and get a job at Burger King, to do the right thing, to provide for my family, I'm going to do it. And I actually, I put feet on it, man. I put feet on it. And, my dad always taught me the things that he taught. It was men never show emotion. Men don't cry. Men don't show emotion. So I didn't know how to channel my feelings. I always lashed out in anger or drug abuse. That's how I knew how to channel my energy, So I had to rethink and relearn how to process my feelings and encounters with other people,
Yeah.
whether anger issues or just being able to have a normal conversation outside of drugs and money, So at the age of 25, I had to basically rethink everything that I've learned up to that point, and it was
absolutely.
tough.
So like my stepfather was an alcoholic, and he was an opioid addict, still is. He's got an open prescription because he has 4 fused discs in his lower back. So there's still some issues there. But I benefited because I had friends in the area that had good families. So I would go to dinner and I'd go hang out with my friends and I'd see good families, around me, which kind of stirred me mostly clear of a lot of the trouble. And it's just, so you didn't have those resources around you, did you? There was nothing around.
I mean, so to an extent, yes. I had people from the church. I was a part of the youth group. But again, the influence was so grave from, me spending so much time with those guys because I lived in the projects and we're so close to each other. Like that's our clique, that's our family. So when and that's the hard part. So I find myself like now that's what I do partially is the courts here in my county will call me, whether it's the judge or the prosecutor will call me and say, hey, look, we got a teen. I need you to talk to them. And when I'm hearing these kids talk about the same stuff, as humans, we long for companionship. We long to be a part of something. Yeah. And when you're not getting it from home, you're going to get it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And those people that you're getting it from, their opinions, their values, their morals is going to supersede everybody else's. Even though I wanted to do right, I wanted to be different. Just those influences, me looking, and especially once I got a taste of the popular lifestyle when the girls come in the mix and everything
money
else is
and
like
everything that comes with it.
I don't want to be the good kid. Being a good kid's boring. Being a Christian is boring.
It's hard to be good. Lifestyle. I mean, it's a much tougher job to be good.
It really is. It's crazy because I remember the feeling of after a basketball game or a football game, watching and you can relate to this, watching other kids' parents come greet them on the court or on the field, and I'm solo. I'm solo. I catch myself during the game or while I'm in the game or on the bench, and I'm looking in the crowd to see if my dad's gonna pop his head up or my mom's gonna pop. And I know my mom had to work, but that's what contributed mostly to the problems that I experienced because it gave me an scapegoat. So if I live this lifestyle, it's not my fault. My dad raised me. It's because my dad.
Your family was the people that were always there. Unfortunately, they were all up to no good, So just like you said, you're going to get that companionship from somewhere. You're going to be a part of something. Unfortunately, you just didn't have your family there for you. Right. This is inspiring stuff. So talk to us from that moment where you clearly had your moment, you broke down. So you get out and you get released. Talk to us from that point. You said you put some feet on it. Talk to us about those feet.
So basically at this time, Kentucky was going through like a revamp where they're revamping all their laws. And I had an option to either go do my 2 5-year prison sentences, or I could do long-term in-house intensive drug treatment. And when I say long-term, it's like 3 to 4 years. And for drug treatment, that's a long where you're living there at the facility for anywhere from 18 to 48 months, so some people don't even get prison sentences that long, but I realized that if I really wanted to change and I kept that same energy, that if I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure my family's going to be good. So I ended up getting out, I got an opportunity to go to this Christ-centered recovery program, which nobody thought I was going to get out because I've had multiple felonies. And, God moved, man. And I got out. I went to this crisis and recovery program, and I battled with depression a lot. When you supplement and use drugs for so long, it's like when you get off of drugs in that lifestyle, you just stay in this depressed state. And I would go to work, come home, and I would go to like where I worked out at in this facility. There are these houses that have been reconditioned for community living. And these houses are old. They're like 100-year-old homes, but they have like old basements in them also. So in this basement,
there we go.
The dungeon,
I can feel it coming, baby.
Man, the dungeon. When I say it was a dungeon,
just what
I
you
work
needed,
construction.
wasn't it?
Man, I'm telling you, I work construction. So I'd have my work boots on, my work clothes on, and I'd come home, grab something to eat. And that was my refuge, was going down there in that basement. And when I say I did the same thing 6 days a week, I did the same thing 6 days a week. I had no understanding of the anatomy and how and progression and how to build muscle. And I just wanted to, I would go down there and kill the weights so hard until I didn't have any energy left, to where I didn't think about leaving that facility, or I didn't think about going and getting high, all those things.
Just beating up that depression, man. You know?
I mean, just killing it out. And, you know, I just kept getting stronger and stronger, you know, and I started out with like literally doing 135 for 3 sets of 10 bench. I would do skull crushers, 3 sets of 10, curls, overhead presses. Because all we had was
let me ask you a
bench.
question. So when you're saying 135 for 3 sets of 10, was that at that point, was that challenging for you, or were you just kind of starting off slow?
I didn't want to get injured because I just started working. So I just did that because at the time my capacity wasn't there. So I had to work up to something. So something basic that I did was just 135. And I did it for 3 sets of 10 or 4 sets of 10. But I did it every day. So my body eventually adapted to that. And so I would say every 2 or 3 weeks, I probably add on 10 to 20 pounds. And one day, got off work, we're down in the basement, we're just laughing. It's like 5 of us down there. And let me tell you, when I say this was the dungeon, it's one of those type of things that you're going to get some work when you go down there, because there's no, like, you're just not going to go down there for no reason, because you got a muddy floor.
There's nothing pleasant down there.
No, there's nothing pleasant. I mean, there's algae growing up the walls. Algae growing up the walls. There's a dirt floor, and there's a bench and a bunch of steel. And let me tell you what,
socializing in that environment.
I'm telling you, but low ceilings.
Training.
The ceilings were very low, but man, I felt good. I felt physically. I started and not just depression, but once I started seeing how it made my muscles tight, and I just felt good. And I would have meetings throughout the week to where I could see my fiance. So of course I want to look good in front of everybody, you know. I want to look good. And one day we're down in the basement, and one of the guys said, "Man, I bet you can lift every single plate down. You can lift every single weight down here." And of course, I used to be like a prideful and arrogant guy. I love challenges.
Sure.
And I said, "Well, throw them on there then." And they put every single plate on in that basement. Didn't even add the weight up. I just got underneath the bar and repped it out for 3 reps. And it ended up being like 505 pounds.
Oh, shit.
It was 505 pounds for 3 reps.
And you probably trained bench press like 5 or 6 days in a row prior to that day, too.
Yeah, it was nonstop. And the crazy thing about it is,
Oh my God.
I looked up and everybody's shocked. And I still don't even, I can't fathom what I just did, because I have no idea. You got to keep in mind, for the past 10 to 15 years, if we wasn't talking about money, drugs, or sex, there's no point in us having a conversation. You know, one of the guys there went told one of the counselors that a couple of the counselors that was there, they worked out, and told him what I did. And they pulled me to the office and was like, "Is this true? Did you do that?" And I'll never forget it. We're sitting down at this computer, and he pulls up CT Fletcher. And I see this guy, and he's screaming and going crazy. And the Hulk comes in. and you got Leroy Walker, and you got Big Boy. And I remember my arms, the hairs on my arm, they're doing it right now. The hairs on my arms
baby.
were just up. They were alert like a dog. You know, the hairs on the back of their neck. And I'm like, he's like, he told me, he's like, you don't even realize that you're on this level already. And you've only been lifting for a few months, 3 to 4 months. And I still don't fathom it. And
3 months saying you're benching 500. Well, that gets nothing for 3.
Crazy.
Oh, for 3 reps.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking cool.
I mean, three solid reps too. It wasn't just like 3 sloppy reps. Like I probably had about 3 more reps in me.
Yeah, that's something you're supposed to be doing there, bud.
So you'll like
Definitely.
this. So my first competition, I had to get a furlough to leave the recovery house to go compete. Had to borrow the money. I was so confident. Had to borrow the money to get into the competition. And I told him once I won the money, I'll pay him back. And sure thing, I went in there and blew it out the water. And it was on from there. It was on.
And that was it.
All it took, and it brings tears to my eyes, but all it took was for me to have a little bit of purpose. When a person finds their purpose in life, just a little bit of purpose, all I needed was just a mustard seed.
Yeah.
And once I tasted that and found my purpose and and seen actually when I put work in that there's rewards at the end of that.
Yep.
Bro, it was gasoline, man, gasoline and fire, man. And the next year, so that competition I did one like I want to say 5 months later. Anybody know Harley Timms? Harley Timms out of Lebanon, Tennessee. Okay, he's a geared lifter, but he was well known in that area. But he invited me down to a real sanctioned competition about I'm gonna say 4 or 5 months later. And my first competition, I benched 625 pounds.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
There are people that that claim benching 600 pounds in the gym, bouncing off their chest. They think they're 600-pound lifters. You do 600 plus in a competition, that's a whole new world. You're already such a small school of people. It's unbelievable.
I was talking to one of the guys that were there at the meet that was hosting the meet, and he said, this guy, I come out of nowhere and I'm back there warming up for the meet, and he said, I don't even remember doing it, but he said I was back there doing 5-second pause presses warming up. That's what I was doing for warm-ups. I don't remember. So he was like,
you were just doing what you felt was best to go out there and win that competition, man.
Nobody would teach me. Nobody would help me. Once I got access to like a phone and like Instagram and Facebook, I would reach out to people and nobody would help me. Everybody pushed, their coaching or programming. Nobody even took the time to even give me any kind of advice. So my setup was sloppy. Everything about it was sloppy. And sure. So my buddy reached out to Josh Bryant. That's my coach.
Yeah, great guy.
This was 2015.
Yeah. Tell him I said hello, please.
Oh, I absolutely will. And I said, Josh, I'm game for whatever. And he said, the first conversation I remember, he said, give me some time. You will break the all-time world record. He told me this in 2015.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, Josh knows his shit, man. Just a quick side note, I met Josh. I was competing in strongman at the time, and I was at Ode Haugen used to have this great setup in his garage before he had the training hall. And so I was there training, and Ode said, "Hey, we got this really strong, teenager coming over." And I'm just thinking teenager. Then in walks Josh. He's already benched 600 pounds. I'm like, holy shit, man. But I mean, the best part about him is he is the coolest, nicest guy. I mean, happy to help people. Josh is the shit, man. He gets it. Josh really gets it. We're all in the same boat here. We all love lifting heavy shit. Doesn't make a difference what heavy shit we're lifting. We're all lifting heavy shit, and he gets the community,
Yeah. He's literally like a second dad to me, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
it's just been it's since then, dealing with, still with mental issues because I didn't realize, I didn't know anything about, supplements as far as like testosterone or any other steroids. And I went through a really rough season in about 2017, 2018, where, depression came back and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Everything in my life was going well. I had multiple jobs. My family was good. We got our house, all these things. I graduated in recovery. I'm in the school systems, talking to kids and all this stuff. And I couldn't, I got to a point to where I about packed all my stuff and left my family and everything. I was going through some kind of, I don't know what it was. So come to find out, I told Josh, I'm like, Josh, I think I don't even think I broke 700 pounds yet. And I said, Josh, I think I'm going to, I did. So at that point in time, I had a 716-pound bench press. And I said, Josh, I don't think, summer of 2018 when this was, I said, Josh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to carry on. I just can't take it. And he's like, what's going on? You've been fine. I know everything in my life is going well. He said, go get your blood work done. And I went and got my blood work done, and my blood work came back where it was like, I was in like the percentile of like a 70-year-old man. So I've been competing basically probably for multiple years.
With no endocrine system at all.
With no testosterone in my body, period.
Wow.
And so I say that because Josh helped me through that time when, and that's important when it comes to having a coach, not a coach that's just wanting to collect your money, but a coach that actually cares about the athlete's well-being. And that's how we create elite athletes, So that's kind of the journey leading up to that point. Around that time, 2018, again, 2018, I broke my first 700-pound bench press. And that's when the world finally woke up and was like, this dude's going to be something, But it took me doing that. Like nobody would give me a time of day besides Josh Bryant. That's crazy. So yeah, man. I know I talk a lot. I just keep going, but
no, bro, that's why you're here. That's what we want you to talk. That's why we're here. We just keep pushing questions at you to keep you talking. So this is great. You're dropping a lot of pearls. You're dropping a lot of pearls on the audience, because I'll tell you, there's so many people out there that have challenges, and they're going to listen to your story and they're going to realize, you know what? You're going to give them some inspiration. I mean, I've heard you talk in the past that you get a lot of emails and DMs of people that do reach out to you because you are inspiring them. And that's what this is all about, man. This show is to help everybody that watches it to become the best version of themselves. And anybody that's gone through a journey like yours, especially being outside the law, your story's got to resonate with them. So you're dropping pearls here, brother. So we love everything you're saying. Absolutely. I mean, that's what this is all about. On that level, since we're kind of talking about, you inspiring people, in this, you've had a great journey, a challenging journey. Talk about what may have been the hardest part for you to get through. Was it the depression, or was there something else going on that you were dealing with? Because obviously people are going to hit roadblocks in their journey. What was yours in terms of other than figuring out you had no testosterone in your system? Was there something else that just about derailed you?
I mean, at the time, I've never really lived life on life's terms without supplementing anything. So, anytime I
talking
felt
about like recreational drugs and things like that. Yeah.
My thing was like popping. I love to pop ecstasy, Xanax, drink liquid, codeine, all those, just the party drugs, the drugs that you see all on social media and
forgive me. Let me ask you a question. When you're saying pop and ecstasy, these are drugs that people normally part of it. You're talking on a daily basis. You were doing this stuff.
Every 2 or 3 days I would, because when you come down, you got to let your body come back to its normal state in order for you to feel the full effect of whatever drug. So basically, I'd pop ecstasy and I'd come down with Xanax and go on a Xanax binge, and I'd keep doing that over and over again. And that allowed me to, every time I drove by the high school, sometimes I wouldn't even drive by the high school. It reminded me how much of a failure I was. So the drugs masked or band-aided you know, those issues that I was dealing with. It allowed me to escape from reality that I'm a failure, you know. And so using those things, that was what the main reason is. You know, I love to party. I love to not think about the problems that I was dealing with. So during that time, and like I said, whenever my testosterone was low, that was probably part of it. But another part of it too, you know, at that time I was competing. We had just we found out my wife was pregnant. And oh no, my wife we already had another kid. Then we found out we had to get custody of my nephew. He was 6 months. So I went from having zero responsibility to every responsibility in the world. And also too, I was balancing working a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs. So, and I'm 26 at this time. I'm digging myself out of a hole that I've put myself in because of my choices, you know? So that's what one thing I tell these young kids and even people that are, you know, in their early 20s is that, like, the more choices that you make that are bad for your life, in the long run, all you're doing is digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually you're going to have to dig yourself out.
Yeah.
Sometimes we burn all the bridges to where we don't even have a shovel to even dig ourselves out with.
Yeah.
So we're digging out with our hands, and that's a long, tedious process, right? So I just didn't know. I had spiritual leaders, but it's different. Somebody can tell you something, but ultimately you have to go through it yourself at the end of the day. People, you can tell me the whole process to become a millionaire, but until I go through the motions myself and understand it myself is when I'll finally, you know, gravitate to that and start utilizing that drive to get there. So I was just I was still finding myself. So 2018. So I was still 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years from recovering from, you know, all that, you know, out of trouble for the past 5 years, but still, I'm still trying to find my way as a man, you know? Yeah. And it just all came to a head. But once that season was over, you know, the next year I broke the all-time world record. You know, it was just
game on, baby. Then it's a whole different world now.
How was that one of those?
I felt great and I recovered better and people a lot of times they don't believe me, but literally that's the only thing I've ever took. That's it. It's just testosterone. Never ventured outside of that. And I'm open about it. I could care less of what people think.
Well, in your case, it was necessary. You weren't even, you were, you were like your endocrine system. You said you look like a 70-year-old man on paper. You know, that's no way to live as a man, you know?
The doctor looked at me and said, well, I just want to be honest. When you told me that you didn't supplement, I really thought you was lying. I was expecting to find every drug known to man on this sheet. So I appreciate your honesty. And I'm like, I had no reason to lie. You took my blood. Like, what else do you think I was going to do?
That was going to be a short-lived lie, that's for sure. You know?
Yeah, so, but it's just been a journey, man. It's been blood, sweat, and tears. It's been, can't tell you how many times I've wanted to give up, that I've absolutely just wanted to say, look, I'm done with this. But then I'll have my kids come up to me and say, Daddy, when are you number one? When are you going to be number one, Daddy? You're number two now, but when are you going to be number one? Or Daddy, when are you gonna go do strongman? Or Daddy, when are you gonna go do this? So my kids are they're starting to experience the fruit that we're harvesting now. Yeah. And they're invested. So every time I miss a meet, every time I miss a lift, I take it, it's a big deal for me. Like literally because it's not just me that's invested. It's my kids, my family, everybody on social media. Like people literally tell me every day, even if I don't respond back to their texts, that they're telling me like they're counting on me. Like their livelihood, they're counting on me. And I'm like, are they pulling my tail or are they being serious?
Well, brother, you're breaking new ground. I mean, when you're going somewhere that no man has ever gone before, you know, that's inspiring for people. And clearly you're feeling it because you feel the weight of people saying that, you know, they're pulling for you, you know.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, that's a great thing. Sorry, Nick, what were you saying, brother? I interrupted you.
No, it's just he's going to be people's motivation, and he's going to be their escape from the day. They're going to precariously live through him, and they idolize him. And I tell you what, I have 10 times more respect than I already had for you, because I didn't know all these things. And to do the things, to head where you were heading, and to get out of that, and to get your head screwed on straight, and to start taking care of your family first, and training and lifting, I got nothing but respect for you, and that's amazing.
That.
And
I got a story for you.
Not an easy thing. Go ahead.
You'll like this.
Okay.
So, what changed my mindset from bench press to strongman was watching you guys compete 2020 down in Orlando.
Yeah.
So once I experienced that and felt the vibes and seeing, it re-sparked that drive in me to say, we're not just going to take it here. I'm going to see what else I can do in life. It was just like watching those guys compete at that strongman show. It literally, I don't know what it did to me, but it did something where it literally lit a flame. You know, like strongman is, and some people probably give me flack for it, but I respect strongman. There's a certain level of more respect for strongman than powerlifting, simply because of the functionality of it and everything that you have to do, you know? So, in order for me to test and see what I'm really made of, I got to give it a shot in strongman. I have to. I can't live life without I got to do it. I just got to do it. You know?
I've already told you, come out and I'll work with you. I've already told you that.
I'm coming for sure, 100%.
Well, Bill, you're one of those guys. You're one of those guys that you're going to find that obviously you've already knocked the dick in on powerlifting. You know, you're a world record holder. You inspire millions of people. You're going to go to strongman. You're going to make a huge impact there. You're one of those guys that you're going to have multiple platforms that you're going to do well with. And that's something that we don't get to see, that doesn't come along that often. So, you know, it's great that it's number one, that you recognize it and that you're willing to actually do it, because a lot of times you find people that they have it, but they don't want to get outside their comfort zone, you know, and getting out your comfort zone, getting outside your comfort zone. That's where life begins, man. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm going to tell you this.
I always revert back to
is all about
remembering whenever I was. Go ahead.
No, strongman is all about not being in your comfort zone. The whole sport.
Yeah.
The whole
100%. 100%. You're thrown for a loop. So that's where I thrive at, you know, like, and I remember laying in that jail cell and thinking, like, if I ever get an opportunity to get a second chance at life, I'm gonna live life to the fullest. And I'm not gonna pass up on any opportunity that comes across my plate. I'm just not gonna do it. So that's part of mankind and who we are, is to leave all of ourselves out there. As coaches will say, leave it on the court, leave it on the field, however you want to put it. Empty ourselves out, because I find my greatest joy in life now not tearing people down, but inspiring people.
Yes.
Building people
That's
up.
what it's all about. That's what it's all about right there, bro. You just hit it on the head, man. You know, 100%.
When you don't fulfill your purpose in life, that's something you got to live with for the rest of your life, and it'll eat at you. It'll eat at you and eat at you and eat at you. And I think the conclusion of why my dad went through all that stuff and why he lived that lifestyle is because he didn't fulfill his purpose.
Yes.
There's something about when you don't fulfill your purpose, it will eat at you. And the only way a lot of times that we can block those feelings out is by supplementing or abusing drugs and alcohol, you know? And again, I don't have any problems with people smoking weed or drinking, you know, people that drink. I'm just saying, for me, when it comes to like drinking and popping pills and all this stuff, like, I'm a feel-good junkie. So I want more and more and more and more. So again, until we really fully fulfill our purpose, like, we won't be complete ourselves, you know? So, and that's just kind of what I live by and what I go by now.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting little side note here, Julius and Nick. Obviously, you can kind of help with some names that we put in this whole thing, but there's been a lot of power lifters and other even Olympic lifters that come to strongman, and they not only do well, but then they actually get stronger for their original sport. So you come to strongman, you knock the dick in strongman like you did powerlift, you're going to be able to go back and basically do better than you did before, because that functional strength that strongman is going to give you is going to really translate to the powerlifting platform. You know,
I just want to. Yeah,
I totaled 200 pounds more.
Go ahead.
No shit, man.
I did for years. At least for 2 years, he's been telling me this. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, get over it. Just come on out, man.
You know, I got this 800-pound bench press. It's that thing where I just feel like I have to get this 800-pound bench press.
Yeah, you got to get that out of the way for sure. It's basically, that's for you. You have to get that out of the way. Absolutely. I agree. I think the whole world needs you to get that out of the way.
100%. We're looking to do a big push in the next 9 weeks.
Nice. Okay. Very nice.
That's kind of the short-term goal. And then I want to start transitioning to strongman, dropping weight. I want to lose about 70 pounds, 60, 70 pounds.
Yep.
I feel like I'll be just put it this way. This is no joke. Whenever I was a junior in high school, I was about 315 pounds, 6'1". I could dunk a basketball with 2 hands. That's how athletic I was.
Shit.
I could dunk a basketball with 2 hands. And in football, they let me. My position wasn't offensive lineman. My position was fullback in high school.
Oh, so boy.
When people always give me a lot of flack about like transitioning strongman, they're like, "Oh, he's too big," or "He can't move like that." I'm like, guys,
those people just don't understand, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna move. That's not the question.
I told Brian. Brian Shaw made a comment on YouTube. I told everybody, I said, I'm the best basketball player in the world over 400 pounds, and he got offended. He called me. He said, I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready for that, big man. I'm like, I don't think you're ready for that, big man.
That would be that would be a hell of a game to film, man. A little one-on-one with you and Brian. That would be nuts, you know?
I'm hoping that
that's awesome.
You know, going through this season will allow me to connect with those guys and be able to, you know, make content and inspire the world, man, just to live your life out, man. Find your purpose and I mean, destroy it, you know, live it up, you know, and that's what the issue is with a lot of these people, you know, these days is, and I'm not against people who game, but when there's something about being physical and getting out and being physical as far as like, you know, us humans, when you go against that, you're going against the natural order of life, man. So that's why we're experiencing more depression, more suicide rate, more drug addiction. It's because we're not working. We're not out doing what we're supposed to be doing as men.
Yeah, we're made to move. We're made to be out being physical. You know, I totally agree, brother. You know. Well, hey, before we leave the bench press behind, obviously we kind of transition to strongman. Obviously you're gonna knock 800 pounds on its ass, but you're a young guy. What do you think the top end of bench press for you is? Obviously you've only been lifting for a few years in the big picture. What do you think you could actually do?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm capable of because a lot of times I never peak on time. Yeah. So every time that I've competed, I've never really peaked on time. So with me peaking at the right time and having my supplements right and cutting out those outside stressors that we have in life, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous. But here's the flip side to that. I don't know how long my body is going to hold up being 440 pounds.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want to see my girls graduate high school. I want to see my girls. I want to see my girls have kids and be able to cultivate this family that I've always wanted, as far as a big, huge family. So that's kind of my rush. So I do want to get this 800-pound bench, go into strongman, come back eventually in a few years and compete under 308.
Oh, no shit. A 308 powerlifting.
Mm-hmm. I want to lose 100 plus pounds.
Wow. Well, I tell you, brother, you compete at 308s in powerlifting. You're going to have to you'll be real close to stepping on a bodybuilding stage, man. You got to just cover all these bases, man.
If you look at my IG, a lot of times I'll post pictures and I'll say 274 weeks out, and people love it. They love it. So 274 weeks out for my bodybuilding debut. They eat it up. They eat it up.
That's fucking awesome, brother. That's inspiring stuff.
When you have opportunity in life, why not?
Yes.
Like, who said I couldn't be a bodybuilder? Who said I couldn't be a powerlifter? Yes. Who's telling us these things?
Yeah, brother, that's it. I hear you loud and clear. Yeah. If you got the guts to do it, it'll happen.
100%. So all I'm saying is for the listeners is think about who's telling you that you can't do what you want to do. Like, who's saying that? Is it that voice in the back of your head? Because a lot of times we're the ones that, like, we are our biggest enemies. We are the ones that are holding ourselves back.
Yeah.
So 100%. If you want to, reach the next level, or you want to achieve something, like, it's a tedious process, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. And I want people to understand this too, is guys, yes, product that the process produces is valuable. The end result is valuable. But you can't, like, once you get the process down, we live off the process, man. You learn so many things in the process, the disciplines, just the ability to be able to overcome opposition. That's what we learn in the process. So once you get the process down, the process can carry us to many different avenues in life. So guys, just understand that it sucks hurting day in and day out on the grind, lifting weights or growing yourself or whatever the case is that you're trying to better yourself. It does. It hurts. It's tough. It's tough dealing with mental issues. And we all have had our fair share of dealing with those things, and some of us still do. But at the end of the day, that process is a lot of times it's more valuable than the end result.
100%.
Hold on to that, because I can take these same disciplines that I learned from powerlifting and apply those things in real life. Yeah. Right. So
to everything you do.
100%. I mean, Stan Efferding, he'll be the first one to tell somebody, look, if you put the energy into competing at a sport, doing it all the way, if you take that same discipline and apply it to the business world, you'll be a millionaire in 5 years. That's what he says. And he's, I mean, Stan is a successful dude. He doesn't say much that's not true.
This is true. Also true.
Yeah, that's. I mean, brother, you may have to swing into the wrestling world to pick up some big paychecks on the way out too.
Man, if they called me today, I'm sorry, 800 pounds, but I got to go. We got.
Well, brother, I'll tell you,
remember one thing with this. Once you have the 800 pounds, you'll always have it.
Yeah.
You can still go to wrestling afterwards at any point in time. Once you do that, either way, you can always make that money. You're not always going to have the ability to get that 800. I sat there and I watched probably the greatest lifter that I've ever seen, named Mark Henry, do that. And he, as good as he was, he could have been that much better if he lifted for another 5 years and then went to wrestling. So get everything out of it before it, because the wrestling's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and Julius, I mean, I got from when I was wrestling in Japan, one of my best friends from being on tour over there, It's a guy named Matt Bloom, and he's the head trainer at the training center at WWE. So, if you want to get connected with them, dude, I can easily open that door for you. But I agree with Nick. Get that in here in the fall because that's yours for the rest of your life. You want to take another step to try to grab some big paychecks, I can definitely connect you with the right people. And obviously, once you get a shot, then it's once the door's open, it's up to you. But I'm telling you, right? It was years ago. Matt actually called me and said, "Hey," he said, "you got to get me in touch with Brian Shaw." And obviously, Brian said, "No, I got a lot of work to do in the strongman world," and he stuck to his guns of what he's doing. But he had an opportunity to go, So, but for sure, we'll connect after the show, and if you want some info, we can totally get that squared away for you, brother.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you got it, brother. Yeah. Well, on this whole thing of people look at you, you are the king of the bench. So it would just be criminal if we didn't have you give some advice to those who want a bigger bench. Tell us what is the biggest mistake most people make trying to improve their bench?
Not following a program.
Okay.
Not following a program. So the whole point of building muscle is to be progressive. And you have to have a structured program in order to attack the muscles that are utilized in bench press.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are doing variations in workouts that don't even hold any weight when it comes to building a stronger bench press. So at the end of the day, and another part of that is ego. You have to leave your ego at the door when it comes to building your bench press, simply because it will get you hurt. That's across the board for any competitive sport. If you don't take your time and progress slowly, and you try to rush the process, it's going to expose a weakness, and a lot of times something bad happens. So that's probably two of the biggest things is following a program, and which in line with having a coach a lot of times. So a coach, programming, and within that is leaving your ego at the door and not. That's
a good one right there. Yeah, not trying to max every week. I swear to God, that's got to be. You see so many people doing that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I guarantee you'll probably get the same questions, or see the same stuff. People think that they can just go in and just throw weights on there, don't warm up, don't do any preventative maintenance or anything like that, and they end up injured, and they wonder how they got in that position, but they just still can't wrap their mind around. They'll heal the same thing again. So it's very important to follow a program, have a coach, and leave your ego at the door. But apart from that, is guys, you got to build your back. Your back is everything when it comes to any kind of functional sport. Your back is what binds everything together. And that's where you get a lot of your leverages from, is your back. So, man, I train back 4 days a week. 4 days a week, baby. I'm hitting back. And if you're not willing to do the extensive work, then you might as well just go to Planet Fitness and pick up Pilates and tiptoe through the tulips.
Well, you can always eat pizza through the middle of your workout at Planet Fitness, I guess.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Planet Fitness. The majority of people at Planet Fitness, they're not trying to.
Yeah, they're there for their purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with people at Planet Fitness. Get your work in, go work out. I'm just saying, for the serious lifters, the atmosphere is not equipped for somebody who is trying to become an elite level athlete, considering the rules that they have at Planet.
Yeah, of course. So kind of a slight variant of that question, for someone that doesn't have the money to buy a program, hire a coach, what advice would you give to that guy who's just got a weight set in maybe his basement, probably not like the dungeon you trained in, but his resources are limited, And he's listened to the best bench presser in the world. Is going to give some advice on how to improve the bench press. I know it's a pretty generalized question, but what would you say to the masses on that one?
Well, I mean, I mean, I'm here, so when if you're looking, we live in a generation where everything is at the fingertips.
Yep.
So if you know the best bench presser in the world, and this is what you want to do is become the best bencher in the world, do your research. Don't be lazy. Do your research. Look at the top benchers or the top deadlifters or the top strongmen. See what they're doing. See what they offer. A lot of these ads, like for example, I offer a barrage of different programs, from off-season peaking to just muscle building programs to peaking programs, all those things. And all it takes is a couple minutes of research to figure out that, oh, Julius has an 8-week bench program, or I mean, Thor has a deadlift program, or Eddie Hall has a deadlift program. Like it's not really hard. It's about the effort that you're willing to put in to figure out how you can become the best version of you. I research so many different people. I still do it. I still break down different people's bench press techniques just to see how I can change mine to better myself. This is something that continues to evolve. As we get stronger, as our body composition changes, our mechanics of how we move weight changes. So
Absolutely.
we have to continue to work on ourselves and our mechanics and figure out different training strategies so we can continue to not only get stronger, but to do it in a safe manner to reduce mileage on the body.
Yeah. Good stuff. For all you listening, you heard it from the man himself. There's a few pearls of advice. You want a better bench press, you know what to do.
Irregularstrength.com. Irregularstrength.com.
There we go, baby. So let's say that you had a time capsule. You could jump in that thing and you could go back 10 years and you could talk to yourself. You right now could go talk to yourself 10 years ago. What are you going to say? Change
your life or get ready. Get your seatbelt on because it's about to be a long, rocky road. It's and this is what I'm still trying to cultivate and change my direction and my mindset is work hard now and play later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instead of play now and work hard later. And by the time you retire, you got a few years left and you're done. So work hard now, man. Go get your education or mainly get your education first and work hard and later reap from the fruit that you've those seeds that you planted 10, 15, 20 years before. It's crazy because I remember getting a paycheck and I'd be ready to blow it every weekend, and it's like, what reason did I have to party? I didn't. Yeah. I just got a paycheck. I shouldn't even look at it in that manner. Like that's a gimme. Like I should be working to earn a paycheck, So, but we catch ourselves wanting to live life. It's just the culture, man. We want to live life now. We want to look good in front of everybody, and we're willing to risk it all to do that. So, man, work hard now and play later.
Yeah,
enjoy life later.
Yeah, that's right. Because hell, the beers you want to have today, they'll be there in 10 years.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. 100%. Hell, they'll probably even be a better version of the beer that you like the best right now. It'll be even better in 10 years.
And seriously, the quality and caliber of people that you're going to have around you through wisdom and years of living are probably going to be better, more quality people. You are who you hang with. So if you hang with people who are slackers and they don't care too much about gym goals and you're partying, doing all this stuff, I promise you, you're not going to reach your goals. It's hard to balance the two. I've tried it and it doesn't work.
What's that old saying? You take 5 people, the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's basically pretty much like looking in the mirror. You end 100%. Up kind of being what you're around.
100%. You're, like you said, you are a makeup of your 5 closest friends. That is facts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, whatever your friends are doing, you're going to be doing, 9 out of 10 times. So,
Well,
guys,
if young kids would listen to that, that's a really, but most younger people that hear that have a hard time actually digesting that as fact,
Yes,
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
So anybody in your life that wants to go in a different direction and what your goals are, people need to learn to turn them into an acquaintance instead of a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the people that are going in this, what's that?
I would say, and that's a lifelong process.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Because a lot of times we're not going to make it to the next level with carrying the baggage that we have now.
Yep.
So a lot of times you have to rid that baggage in order to get to that next level. And it resorts back to, when we were kids, Nick, and we didn't have anybody until, like you had people to come into your life that was outside of your parents. But when you long for something and you're not getting it from home, you're going to get it from somewhere. They're going to get it from somewhere.
You will.
So they run hand in hand. So at the end of the day, you just need to find good, solid people that have the same goals as you and the same mindset, that are going to challenge you, that are not going to sugarcoat things. They're going to be honest. I've sugarcoated to people my whole life, and whenever I went through recovery, one of the pillars of that is accountability, and accountability saved my life. Accountability saved my life.
Yeah,
having people tell me what I didn't want to hear.
Yeah,
because that's what your friends will do. Your friends will tell you things you don't want to hear. Yeah. And that's what a true friend is, because people get pissed off and they don't want to talk to me anymore. It's like, no. That's your friend. Yeah. The yes men are not your friends. It's the people that'll set you straight when you need to be set straight that are actually your friends. And people need to understand that. They don't.
I feel like we could all write a book about this, and it would be a better because it's so true. Like at any age, any time period, like we all could revisit and self-evaluate and say, are the people that I have in my life, are they contributing to, or are they taking away? Are they taking energy, or are they giving energy?
Oh, I'm telling you, I've been through multiple. I just turned 50. Nick's obviously 50 and change. But I went through multiple phases of this. I mean, I've, of course, when I was younger, I try to keep the people around me that are keeping me working hard and have interest, training and things like that. But then when I became a father, it was like a deeper level of, okay, now I got to get some, there's a handful of friends that I just didn't allow to come to my house anymore, because I knew there was a risk that they were going to bring something around that I couldn't have next to my little girl. And it's just, you just don't take those chances. So this process we're talking about, it just continues to go as life goes on, because unfortunately some people in our circle that are good, they get, kind of turned the wrong direction. And we try to point it out to them, but if they choose to go the wrong way, we have to be, we have to stay true to the fact that we got to take care of ourselves first, because you can't take care of anybody else if you're not strong yourself,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, this has been a hell of a time with you on the show, bro. This has been not only talking about, obviously, training and big weights, but some really, really soulful, life type stuff we're talking about, which is really cool, man. It was really good to get to know you on a much deeper level besides 800 pounds, because everybody in the world knows Julius Maddox, the 800-pound bench presser, but not everybody gets to know the Julius that we just talked to. But obviously this will be great. I'm sure, again, you inspire people all around the world, and this show is going to give people even a better look at, just how good you are. I mean, you're just a good person, and a good person goes a long way. And unfortunately, I think the world is we're running short on just straight up good human beings,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's bad when people want to see more of egotistical, jerkish attitudes over humble people that are willing to help people. Think about how crazy that is,
It very true. Very true. And it's been one of the things I won't give in.
Yeah.
I won't give in. That's not me. I'm not going to be that way.
I
And I
respect
won't
that.
give
I
in.
respect that so much because, man, if I acted out in such a way, my following overall would probably be 3 or 4 times more than what it is. But I'm not willing to lose who I am just to put on this facade that I'm this guy, because I'm not. I cringe when I think about like trying to call somebody out and start this drama and beef. I got out of that lifestyle to get away from drama. And I'm not trying to
Exactly.
I'm in capacity. I can't handle with everything that I have going on, of course, with girls, having 3 girls at home, me, myself, and a boy and a wife and family, and dealing with helping whatever I can do to help my community. Like, I don't have time for drama or anything that's taken away from the bigger picture. And that's ultimately the bigger picture is inspiring the world, inspiring my community. And my community needs it now more than ever. Considering literally there's a shootout there's a shooting almost every single day or every other day in my hometown. So, and it's a small town, so that's what I'd rather be consumed with overall.
I've heard you talk about your community a lot, and I'll tell you, my hat goes off to you, brother, because not a lot of people think about trying to be a role model for their community. I've heard that come out of your mouth a lot. So I got to say, my hat's off, brother. Really good shit.
I appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate it. Anytime y'all need anything,
mad respect.
Reach out. I'm available. And as soon as I'm ready to transition, you're going to be the first person I come visit, Nick. The first person.
Sweet. I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm going to hold you to that. The first person I come visit. It may be even the summer, whenever during Olympia, I'll come down.
Okay.
Yes, it's back in Vegas.
No, yeah, I know. Thank
Vegas,
God.
Baby.
Yeah,
Vegas.
It's out here, so it's gonna be different. It's gonna get interesting.
Yeah, we'll make some prime rib on the Traeger too. So we'll eat some good food too.
Let's do it.
There we go.
Yeah, so we'll train and we'll eat and we'll go in the pool. Because like right when you get done training, it's always good to go in the pool because it decompressions your spine and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother podcast.
So we're gonna train. We're gonna train on the legendary driveway and the legendary street.
That's it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
I watched that video one day and I thought, like, because I always put myself in that position. I'm like, I'm gonna train there one day, just like I visioned me training at CT Fletcher's gym. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen, man.
That's right. Well, let's do it. Whenever you're ready, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So, brother, you've obviously left you've already, and you're just getting your motor warmed up. You've left some really, really big positive marks on the world. But let's fast forward. What is it that you want when you're gone in the physical sense? What is it that you want to leave behind? What's the legacy of Julius Maddox going to be? What are you working for? What do you want that to be?
At the end of the day, that I was the best father that my kids ever could have asked for. Everything else is irrelevant. That I'm a man of God. I was a man of God, and that I was the best father, best husband that I possibly could have been. Everything else is irrelevant. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it, like what I did, my accolades, and what I've accomplished. But man, it means more to me being a father, being a pillar in my community, being a man of God than anything else. That's why I'm here today. That's what drives me to this point to where I continue to better myself every day. Everything else is not irrelevant, but I look at it in a sense of nothing else matters. I want people to remember me that I was a great dad, that if anybody needed anything, that Julius was the first person to be there. And I light the room up when I come in the room. Those are things that I want to be remembered about. It's cool being remembered as the all-time world record holder, or the first person to break 800 pounds, but you inspire. I just feel like the message is that much graver, that I overcame addiction. I overcame so many obstacles, and I was able to beat the odds and be those things that I've always wanted to be. That's what it sums up to. Remember that I had some goals and I changed my life, and I was able to be the person that I've always wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what?
And
That's
clearly,
what's going to inspire other people to change their lives, and that's what's impressive.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I'll leave y'all with
exactly.
this gem, with this nugget right here. The only time you'll change is when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change.
Here we go.
When the pain of staying the same than the pain of change, it'll be easy. It'll be easy to change. But until you experience enough pain in what you're doing to where you're like, look, I'm done with this, I'm literally done, then you'll continue to wallow in it and live it. So yeah, you'll change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change.
Well, I don't know if there's a better close to the show than that, my brother. It's been an absolute fucking pleasure to have you on the show. And I got to say, I'm really glad I got a chance to get to know you on this level, because there's so much more to you than the 800-pound bench press. And brother, I got to tell you, you inspire me just sitting here on the show with you. Nick, you got anything else for man?
We'll connect.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I want to connect back with you guys, moving forward. So
absolutely, brother.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, brother, you got nothing but opportunity ahead of you. And Nick and I are both here to help you in any way we can.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you have it, everyone. There's another edition of Legends of Iron. As always, we're here to inspire you and help you become the best version of yourself. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.